Pile of last night's coals, a little bit of tinder, and some kindling. Of course, the flame just went out, so we'll fix that. Wood stove here. Let's get this set up, and I'll show you how to do this. So there's our side view. Oh, come on, smoke, go up the chimney. All right, the draft is just barely starting. And we can use our bellows to help blow. Because if you have that pile of coals from the night before, there's a lot you can make happen. I'm going to do that. A bit of tinder, and then the coals are ready to burn. They're just ready to burn. So this is it. This is what the bellows looks like. It's a pretty nice piece of equipment, really, all things said. I would recommend, if you're doing wood stove stuff, better than sticking your head down there and blowing into it, catching your hair on fire, who knows what. It's got the brass tip. Yeah, it costs a few bucks, but let me tell you, it makes all the difference when you're trying to actually get the fire going. Yep, looking good. So, that's one part. The other part is, of course, a little tool set. We got the shovel. We have a brush for sweeping up. Got our safety gate, keep things safe. We got our leather gloves. And the other part of this that I love to do is I like to sift out those coals. We're sifted with essentially one of the smoker things for your barbecue. You're supposed to put the wet wood chips in it, give your meat flavor. The holes are about 3/16 inch across, I'd say. And then the sifted ash goes in here. So when I shovel the coals and ash into here, and I leave this on top of the bucket, I get a nice heat there, and I slowly sift it out. I get the ash. And this is cold from the night before. Don't stick it into warm ash. That's it. And this can be spread out in the garden or in the backwoods, whatever. The potassium and etc. from here helps fertilize the soil. Meanwhile, I've got fresh, unhindered coals, so the coals aren't choked by the ash at this point for starting a fire. We're in pretty good shape. Then the final bit is, of course, to keep your wood dry. We got it in the back shed in a good shape, and so it's fairly easy to get a fire going. And so at this point, I can close this off most of the way. I use this little rock just to keep it from flying back open. So there's a little extra gap until this gets started. Then I'll close the door once this is going enough. And then when it's really, really hot, I can take the primary air and put it down maybe to the middle once it's glowing full red hot coals after probably an hour or two. Safety first, right? So it's a fireproof rug. The tinder and stuff is far enough away. And of course, this heavy duty canvas sack I've had for a couple of years for carrying wood in from the shed. Paper is way over there. And again, defense to keep kids out, pets, whatever. Thanks for watching. And so now it's been going for about 4 or 5 minutes. Get a decent bed of coals, you know, the coals from last night sifted and repurposed. Some nice, decently dry wood. This is the way the fire should go. So to be clear, this is a EPA wood stove. They call it a top-down burn. If I got a bed of coals, I'm going to start it from the front. But essentially, see those pipes up in there? That's secondary air that can be brought in. So once we do close the door, air washes down the front. There's also a little air inlet there. And then the secondary air is always on. This lever turns on or off the primary air, and at the moment it's way over here. In other words, on. So now that it's built up enough, I can actually close the door. The fire's not falling back, and I have enough fuel to keep it happy. And about a couple more minutes here, when that's up a little bit more, I'll come over here, probably grab that piece of wood, set it across the top, and just keep the crisscross so that the flames can heat up the wood, and it works well. Thanks for watching. I got that extra piece on top now, and things are pretty warm down here in the front. The fire's building up. Open the door so you get rid of the reflection a bit. We open it slowly to keep the smoke from coming out. There we go. See, down in there. Nice fire. The absence of hissing is just something I'm going to note. My logs are not hissing because they've dried. They've been dry for, these ones have been dry for a year. I got a set of logs in the second half of my woodshed that have only been drying for a few months. By the end of the winter, those will be dry enough to burn without much hissing at all. If you have hissing and bubbling, usually out the ends of the logs, and you're still wet. These modern stoves are pretty good about it because that secondary air up on top is always working for you to help reburn stuff. But ideally, you burn dry wood because it's extra heat required to bubble out all that water before it's dry, and then you get the heat out of it. So that's that story. The other part is, this was just a traditional fireplace, and we had a stainless steel liner installed all the way up the chimney to the top, outside, and then a cap to help keep the rainwater out outside. So this is a stainless steel liner inside of a clay, traditional 40-year-old flue, and so we're very safe that way, which is great. So if you can, I would do that. Now the other part is, okay, that's nice, George, you got a wood stove, but we have a blower. So we're going to get this grate out of the way, and we can turn on the blower, and then the heat starts coming out up here. Usually I wait till it's a bit warmer, and then of course I can have a water-filled tray with some fruit or some other things for some nice odors, some nice scents, and we monitor temperature up here. Usually I want it above that minimum point before turning on the blower, but I can do that. And then the nice part is I can dial this down and say, okay, I'm going to get some heat out because the air goes in underneath, goes around the whole firebox, and then comes out the top. That's the story. And the fire's getting big. This is nice. Alright, stay warm, everyone. After everything is hot, this is the way the fire should look. Got two mostly burnt logs underneath, a good pile of coals, and a secondary air coming into those tubes along the top, helping to burn off the wood. And of course down here, hard to see, but I am here on the scale. That's all wide open. Here's where the scale is. So that's good. Got it just about a third closed for the primary air. Nice clean burn, nice hot fire. Let that piece of wood on about 5 minutes ago. It's on top. Thanks.